Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, watching the stars drift by through the main screen. The ship moved through space at speeds that would have amazed people from Earth. Just 50 years ago, now it felt normal, almost boring. Jake had been exploring the edge of human space for 3 years, mapping new systems and looking for planets where people could live. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the long-range sensors," said Ben Carter from his science station. Ben was young, maybe 25, with short brown hair and eyes that always seemed curious about everything around him. He had joined the crew 6 months ago, fresh from the Space Academy. Jake walked over to look at Ben's screen. Green dots moved across a dark background, showing the positions of nearby objects in space. Most were small rocks or chunks of ice. Nothing unusual, but one dot was different. It was big, much bigger than anything natural should be out here. "How far away is it?" Jake asked. "About 2 million kilometers and closing," Ben said. His voice had a worried edge to it. "Captain, it's moving toward us, fast." Lisa Grant looked up from her engineering station. She was a woman in her 30s with red hair, tied back in a ponytail. Her hands were always dirty from working on the ship's engines, and she knew every pipe and wire on the horizon better than anyone else. "Sir, if something that big is moving that fast, it's not natural. It has to be a ship." Amy Torres turned. From her communications panel, she was small and quick, with dark hair and eyes that missed nothing. Amy could speak 12 different languages and had a gift for understanding alien signals. "I'm not picking up any radio chatter, Captain. Whatever it is, it's running silent." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The horizon was alone out here, days away from the nearest human base. If this was trouble, they would have to handle it themselves. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. "Amy, try to make contact." The bridge lights changed from white to red, and alarms sounded throughout the ship. Jake heard boots running in the hallways as his crew moved to their emergency positions. The Horizon was not a warship, but it had weapons for protection and shields that could stop most attacks. "Unknown vessel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth ship Horizon." Amy spoke into her microphone. "Please identify yourself and state your intentions." They waited. Space stayed quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines. Jake counted the seconds, watching the big dot on Ben's screen get closer and closer. Then everything changed. The unknown ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in front of them. It was huge, maybe 5 times the size of the Horizon. The hull was dark gray with sharp angles that made it look like a weapon itself. Strange symbols glowed along its sides in colors that hurt to look at. "Captain," Ben's voice was barely a whisper, "I'm reading weapons systems all over that ship, more firepower than a whole Earth fleet." Before Jake could respond, the alien ship fired, not weapons, but some kind of scanning beam that washed over the horizon like water. Jake felt a strange tingling in his bones as the beam passed through the ship. "They're scanning us," Lisa said from her station. "Deep scans. They're looking at everything, right down to our engine core." Amy's equipment suddenly came alive with signals. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission. It's in English, but the accent is wrong, like a computer trying to copy human speech." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical. Each word was pronounced perfectly, but there was no emotion behind them. "Human vessel. You will surrender immediately. Your ship contains technology that belongs to the Kefir Empire." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. They all stared back at him, waiting for orders. He had never heard of the Kefir Empire, but that ship could destroy them in seconds if it wanted to. "This is Captain Morrison," he said. "We are on a peaceful exploration mission. We have no technology that belongs to anyone else. All our equipment was built by humans." There was a long pause. Then the alien voice spoke again, and this time Jake could hear confusion in the mechanical tone. "Impossible. Your faster-than-light drive produces energy signatures unknown to Kefir science. You will explain the source of this power." Lisa looked confused. "Captain, there's nothing special about our FTL drive. It's the same system every human ship uses. Standard quantum tunnel generator with a Hope resonator for power regulation." "Your scans are mistaken," Jake told the aliens. "Our drive is ordinary human technology. Nothing more." Another pause, longer this time. Jake could imagine the aliens talking among themselves, trying to figure out what they had found. "You lie," the voice finally said. "Kefir sensors do not make mistakes. Your ship generates power from an unknown source. This source becomes stronger when your crew experiences stress. This is impossible according to all known laws of physics. Ben looked at his instruments with new eyes. Captain, they're right about one thing. Our power output has increased since they showed up. The engine core is running at 112% efficiency. That's not possible, Lisa said, but she was already checking her own readings. Wait, the Hope resonator is glowing. Brighter than I've ever seen it. All the energy readings are off the charts. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The Hope resonator was just a name. Every human ship had one, but no one really understood how it worked. Engineers called it that because ships seemed to run better when the crew was hopeful about their mission. Most people thought it was just a coincidence. Human captain, the alien voice spoke again. You will come aboard our vessel for questioning. Your crew will remain on your ship under guard. Resistance will result in the destruction of your vessel. Jake looked around the bridge one more time. His crew watched him with trust in their eyes. They believed he would find a way out of this. Lisa's hands moved over her controls, ready to give the engines everything they had. Ben studied his sensors, looking for any advantage. Amy kept trying to find more information from the alien signals, and deep in the ship's core, the Hope resonator pulsed with light that grew brighter every second. Very well, Jake said finally. I'll come aboard your ship, but my crew stays safe, or there will be consequences. The alien voice almost sounded amused. You are in no position to make threats, human. You will learn that the Kefir Empire always gets what it wants. As Jake prepared to leave his ship, he wondered what the aliens had really found. Why were they so interested in human engines? And why did their power systems work better when things looked hopeless? He had a feeling he was about to find out. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the connecting tube between the ships. The walls were made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the edges, and the air smelled like copper and ozone. Behind him, he could hear his crew's voices fading as he moved away from the horizon. The Kefir ship was bigger inside than it looked from outside. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings larger than humans. Jake saw his first alien when the guards met him at the airlock. They were 7 feet tall, with gray skin that looked like stone. Their eyes were black, without any white showing, and they had no hair anywhere on their heads. They wore dark armor that covered most of their bodies. The guards said nothing. They just pointed down the corridor with weapons that looked like they could cut through steel. Jake walked where they indicated, his boots making loud sounds on the metal floor. They brought him to a large room filled with strange equipment. Screens showed images of the horizon from every angle. Other displays had numbers and symbols that meant nothing to Jake, but the aliens seemed very interested in them. In the center of the room stood the biggest Kefir Jake had seen yet. I am Admiral Zexkar, the alien said in that same mechanical voice Jake had heard on the radio. You will answer my questions about your ship's power source. I already told you, Jake said. There's nothing special about our engines. They're the same as every other human ship. Admiral Zexkar made a sound that might have been laughter, but it had no humor in it. Your ignorance is either real or an excellent performance. My science team will determine which. The guards took Jake to a smaller room and left him there. The walls were smooth metal with no windows or decorations. A single light in the ceiling cast harsh shadows everywhere. Jake sat on the only chair and waited. Meanwhile, on another part of the ship, Lisa Grant found herself in a room full of alien machines. The Kefir engineer facing her was smaller than the guards, but its black eyes were just as cold. It wore a device on its head that translated its words into English. I am Technician Prime Velthok. It said, you will explain how your engines function. Lisa looked at the screens around the room. They showed detailed images of the horizons. Engine core, taken by the scanning beams. She could see every pipe, every wire, every component. But the Hope resonator in the center glowed so brightly in the images that it looked like a small star. Your scanners are good, she admitted, but I don't understand what you want to know. The fusion reactor provides basic power. The quantum tunnel generator creates the space fold for faster-than-light travel. The Hope resonator regulates the energy flow. Velthok's black eyes stared at her. Define Hope resonator. It's just a name, Lisa said. It's a crystal matrix that helps control power distribution. We call it that because ships run better when the crew is hopeful about their mission. Explain this connection between crew emotion and mechanical function. Lisa shrugged. I don't know. It's just something engineers noticed over the years. Happy crews get better performance from their ships. We thought it was because they took better care of the equipment. Belthok touched controls on his panel. The screen showed energy readings from the Horizon's core. Your Hope resonator produces quantum fluctuations that should not exist. The power output increases when your crew experiences what you call determination or desperation. That's impossible, Lisa said, but she was looking at the readings herself now. Numbers that made no sense according to everything she knew about engineering. In another room, Ben Carter sat across from a Kethra scientist who called herself Research Commander Nixara. She was studying images of human brains taken during the scanning. Your species shows unusual neural activity during crisis situations, she said. Most intelligent beings experience fear and reduced function when facing death. Your people become more active. Ben thought about all the stories he had heard from other crews. Ships that somehow made impossible escapes when everything looked hopeless. Battles where human vessels outfought much larger alien forces. He had always assumed it was just good training and luck. We don't like to give up, he said finally. Humans keep trying even when things look bad. This behavior is inefficient, Nixara said. Resources should be conserved for situations where victory is possible. Maybe, Ben said, but sometimes fighting when you can't win is the only way to find out that you actually can win. The alien stared at him for a long moment. This makes no logical sense. Across the ship, Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in a medical bay facing bioanalyst Cretan. This Kethra wore equipment that looked like it was designed for surgery. Elena tried not to think about what that might mean. Your biological scans show interesting patterns, Cretan said. Human brain chemistry changes during stress, but not in the way we expected. Instead of fear responses, we detect increased activity in regions associated with planning and determination. That sounds normal to me, Elena said. When humans face problems, we try to solve them. Even when the problem cannot be solved, Elena thought about her own life. Medical school, when she had no money. Research projects that seemed impossible. Moving to space when everyone said it was too dangerous, especially then. The impossible problems are the ones that need the most work. Cretan showed her brain scans on a screen. These patterns match the energy signatures from your ship's core. There appears to be a connection between human neural activity and your propulsion systems. That's crazy, Elena said, but she was looking at the scans with new interest. The patterns did look similar to the energy readings she had seen from the engine room. In the communications room, Amy Torres faced information gathered Quovex. This alien had equipment that could intercept and analyze radio signals from across the galaxy. We have been monitoring human transmissions for many cycles, Quovex said. Your crews engage in non-essential communication during voyages, singing, storytelling, sharing personal memories. This wastes time and energy. Amy almost smiled. Those aren't waste. They're what make long trips bearable when you're away from home for months. You need to remember why you're out here. Explain. When we sing old songs, we remember the people who sang them before us. When we tell stories about home, we remember what we're protecting. When we share memories, we remind each other that we're not alone. Quovex studied readouts on his screens. These activities correlate with increased power efficiency in your vessels. Your engines perform better during what you call morale building exercises. Amy felt a chill. You've been watching us that closely. Human ships are an anomaly. They perform beyond their theoretical capabilities. We must understand why. Back in the main science bay, Admiral Zexkar listened to reports from his research team. Each one brought the same impossible information. Human ships were powered by something that should not exist. According to Kethra's understanding of physics, their engines run on emotional energy. Velthok reported, the more determined the crew becomes, the more power their ship produces. Impossible. Admiral Zexkar said, emotions are chemical reactions in organic brains. They cannot affect mechanical systems. Nevertheless, the correlation is exact, Nixara added. Human neural activity during crisis situations matches their ship's power signatures perfectly. Cretan stepped forward. Admiral, we believe humans have somehow learned to convert psychological states into physical energy. Their hope and determination literally fuel their faster-than-light drives. Admiral Zexkar was quiet for a long time. Finally, he activated his communication system. This is Admiral Zexkar calling Kethra High Command. Priority 1. I am transmitting our findings about human technology. He paused, then continued. High Command, if these readings are correct, humans have weaponized hope itself. They have turned their emotions into a power source that makes them stronger. when they should be weaker. This represents a threat to our entire understanding of warfare. In their separate holding rooms, Jake and his crew could only wait and wonder what the aliens had discovered. None of them realized that their hope resonators had been glowing brighter with each passing hour, powered by their determination to survive and return home. The Kefra Empire was about to learn that some things in the universe were more powerful than logic, technology, or superior firepower. Sometimes, the simple refusal to give up could move mountains, cross space, and power starships to impossible speeds. But first, they had to decide what to do with this dangerous knowledge. Back on the U's horizon, First Officer Paul Jackson stood in the captain's chair, trying to look more confident than he felt. Paul was a steady man in his 40s with gray hair and calm eyes. He had served under Captain Morrison for 2 years and trusted his judgment completely. But now Jake was gone, taken by aliens who could destroy their ship with a single shot. Report, Paul said to the remaining crew on the bridge. Navigation Officer Kate Phillips looked up from her station. She was young, maybe 23, with blonde hair and quick fingers that could plot courses through the most dangerous space. Sir, the alien ship is holding position to kilometers off our starboard side. They have us in their weapon sights. Any word from the captain? Paul asked. Communications Specialist Sam Wright shook his head. Sam was quiet and thoughtful, the kind of person who listened more than he spoke. Nothing, sir. They're jamming all frequencies. I can't even tell if the captain and the others are still alive. Paul felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders. 43 people depended on him now. 43 human lives against an alien warship that could vaporize them without effort. Down in engineering, Matt Sullivan stared at readings he had never seen before. Matt was Lisa's assistant, a young man who knew engines almost as well as she did. He had been working on starships since he was 18, but the numbers on his screen made no sense. Ryan, you need to see this. He called to Security Chief Ryan Brooks. Ryan was big and strong, a former military man who kept the crew safe. He had short black hair and scars on his hands from old fights. Ryan looked at Matt's displays. What am I looking at? The Hope Resonator, Matt said, pointing to a bright display in the center of his panel. It's been glowing brighter ever since the captain left. Look at these power readings. Ryan studied the numbers. He was not an engineer, but he had been around ships long enough to know what normal looked like. That's not normal. It's running at 130% efficiency. Matt said, that should be impossible. But the more worried we get about the captain, the brighter it gets. On the bridge, Kate Phillips was running calculations that should have been routine. Plot a course back to human space, calculate fuel consumption, estimate travel time. But every time she ran the numbers, she got the same impossible result. Paul, she said quietly, our engines are running to well. Paul walked over to her station, explained. If we left right now at maximum speed, we would reach Earth base in 4 days, Kate said. The trip out here took us 6 days. Same distance, same engines, but somehow we're faster now. Paul looked at the navigation display. The course back to human space stretched across the star map, a journey of billions of kilometers. Are you sure about these calculations? I've checked them 5 times, Kate said. Sir, our ship is performing beyond its design specifications, and it's getting better every hour. In the medical bay, Dr. Nina Foster was checking on crew members who had reported strange feelings since the aliens arrived. Nina was a small woman with dark hair and gentle hands. She had been a doctor on Earth before joining the space service, and she knew human bodies better than most. Describe the sensation again, she asked engineer Tom Miller. Tom was one of Matt's team, a man who usually kept to himself and rarely complained about anything. It's like electricity in my bones, Doc. Started right after the captain got taken, getting stronger every hour. Nina checked her medical scanner. Tom's brain activity was elevated, but not in a dangerous way. His neural patterns showed increased activity in areas associated with determination and focus. Are you feeling sick? Dizzy? Any pain? No, Doc. Actually, I feel better than I have in months. More awake, more ready for anything. Nina nodded and made notes on her computer. Tom was the 7th crew member to report similar symptoms. All of them showed the same brain patterns. All of them felt more alert, more determined, more hopeful. Despite their dangerous situation on the alien ship, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his cell and tried to make sense of what he had heard. During his interrogation, The Kefir seemed convinced that human ships were powered by emotions. It sounded crazy, but Jake remembered things that had never made sense before. The merchant ship that outran pirate raiders despite having slower engines. The explorer vessel that somehow found its way home after getting lost in a starstorm. The rescue ship that reached survivors with just minutes of air left, traveling faster than should have been possible. In another cell, Lisa Grant was thinking about every engine she had ever worked on. She remembered times when ships performed better than their specifications said they could. Times when desperate crews somehow coaxed extra speed from dying engines. Times when hope seemed to make the difference between life and death. Ben Carter, in his own cell, thought about all the sensor readings he had studied over the years. Energy signatures that did not match any known power source. Ships that seemed to generate more power when their crews were fighting for their lives. Patterns that made no sense according to physics textbooks. Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez sat in her cell and considered the brain scans the aliens had shown her. The connection between human neural activity and ship performance was impossible to ignore. But if it was true, if human emotions can somehow power starships, what did that mean for everything? They thought they knew about technology. Amy Torres lay on her cell's narrow bunk and thought about all the songs she had heard crews sing. During long voyages, songs about home, about hope, about never giving up. She remembered how those songs seemed to make ships run smoother. How crews performed better when they felt connected to each other and their mission. Back on the horizon, Paul Jackson called his senior staff to the bridge. The alien ship had been quiet for hours, and he was starting to worry about what that might mean. Status report, he said as the crew gathered around him. Matt Sullivan spoke first. Sir, our power systems are running at levels I've never seen before. The Hope resonator is so bright I had to put filters on the viewing windows. If this keeps up, we'll have enough power to outrun anything in space. Keith Phillips nodded. Navigation confirms it, sir. Our theoretical maximum speed has increased by 40% since this morning. Double quotes Dr. Nina Foster. Step forward, Paul. I need to report something strange. The crew is showing unusual brain activity. Everyone's neural patterns have changed. They're more focused, more determined. It's like their brains are operating at a higher level. Sam Red looked up from his communications console. Sir, I'm picking up chatter from other human ships in the sector. They're all reporting similar power increases. Whatever's happening to us is happening to everyone. Paul felt a chill run down his spine. How many ships? At least dozen, sir. Maybe more. And they're all heading this way. On the alien ship. Admiral Zexkar received reports from across the Kefir fleet. Human vessels throughout the sector were showing increased activity. Ships that had been running routine patrols were suddenly moving at impossible speeds toward the location of the horizon. Admiral, Technician Prime Velthok reported, we are detecting massive energy spikes from human ships across a sphere of space, 50 light-years in diameter. Their power output is increasing exponentially. Research Commander Nick Sara stepped forward. Sir, we believe the human crews are communicating on a level we cannot detect. Their emotional states are somehow synchronized across vast distances. Admiral Zexkar studied the tactical display. Red dots showed the positions of human ships, all converging on his location. How many vessels? 4 to 7 confirmed, sir. More appearing every hour. Bioanalyst Cretan approached with new data. Admiral, the human prisoners show increased neural activity as well. Their brain patterns suggest they are aware of approaching help. Though we have given them no information, Admiral Zexkar realized he was facing something he had never encountered before, an enemy that became stronger when threatened, a species that could somehow share determination across impossible distances. Ships powered by the very emotions that should make them weak. He activated his communication system. All Kefir vessels, prepare for battle. The humans are coming, and they are bringing hope with them. On the horizon, Paul Jackson felt something he could not explain, a connection to his captain, to his crew, to every human ship in space. They were not alone. They were part of something bigger, something that could not be stopped by superior firepower or impossible odds. All hands, prepare for action, he announced over the ship's communication system. We're going to get our people back. In the engine room, the Hope resonator blazed with light that could be seen through the hull. The horizon was ready for whatever came next, and across human space, 47 other ships burned with the same impossible fire, powered by the simple human refusal to abandon their own. Admiral Zexkar stood in the command center of his flagship and watched the tactical display with growing alarm. The red dots representing human ships were getting closer every hour. What had started as a simple investigation was turning into the largest space battle the Kefir Empire had seen in decades. Status report, he ordered. Tactical Commander Drakmar stepped forward. He was one of the largest Kefir on the ship, with scars from many battles across his stone-gray skin. Admiral, we have 47 confirmed human vessels approaching. Their speed continues to increase beyond all known limits. Time to intercept. At current acceleration rates, 6 hours. But sir, their acceleration is still increasing. They may arrive sooner. Admiral Zexkar felt something he had rarely experienced in his long military career: uncertainty. The Kefir Empire had conquered dozens of species by understanding their technology and tactics. But humans were different. They broke rules that had governed space warfare for centuries. What word from High Command? He asked Dock Communications Officer. Yultax activated his equipment. Admiral, High Command has issued new orders. You are to eliminate all human prisoners immediately and destroy any ships containing Hope Resonator technology. The Empire considers this technology a threat to galactic stability. Admiral Zexkar nodded slowly. He had expected this order, but hearing it still felt like crossing a line. The Kefir usually kept prisoners for study and negotiation. Immediate execution meant High Command was truly afraid. How long do we have? He asked. High Command expects compliance within 2 hours, sir, on the horizon. First Officer Paul Jackson received information that changed everything. Sam Wright had managed to break through the Kefir jamming for just a few seconds, long enough to intercept a single transmission. Paul, you need to hear this, Sam said, his face pale. I caught part of a Kefir military communication. They're planning to execute the captain and the others soon. Paul felt his blood turn cold. How soon? The transmission was broken. But I think they said 2 hours, maybe less. Paul looked around the bridge. His crew stared back at him with determination in their eyes. They all knew what this meant. There was no time to wait for the other human ships to arrive. They had to act now, or lose their friends forever. Matt, Paul called to engineering. How much power can you give me? Matt Sullivan's voice came through the communication system. From the engine room, sir, the Hope Resonator is running at 150% efficiency. I can push it higher, but I don't know what will happen. We're already beyond anything in the technical manuals. Push it, Paul said. Give me everything we have. Kate Phillips looked up from her navigation station. Paul, even at maximum power, we can't fight that alien ship. They have weapons that could destroy a whole fleet. We're not going to fight them, Paul said. We're going to outsmart them. He activated the ship's communication system so everyone could hear. All hands. This is First Officer Jackson. Our captain and crewmates are going to be executed in less than 2 hours. We're going to get them back. Paul paused, thinking about what he was about to ask of his crew. I won't lie to you. This is going to be dangerous. We're going up against a ship that could vaporize us without trying. But we have something they don't understand. We have each other, and we have hope. In the engine room, Matt Sullivan and his team watched the Hope Resonator blaze with light brighter than they had ever seen. The crystal matrix at the heart of their faster-than-light drive was responding to the crew's determination with power that defied explanation. Tom, reroute all available energy to the engines, Matt ordered. Nina, I need you to monitor the crew for any medical problems. This much power might affect people differently. Dr. Nina Foster nodded from the medical bay. Matt, the crew's brain activity is off the charts, but they're not showing any signs of distress. If anything, they seem stronger and more focused than ever on the alien ship. Captain Jake Morrison and his team realized something was happening. The energy in the air felt different, more charged. The lights in their cells flickered as power flowed through the ship's systems in new patterns. Lisa Grant pressed her ear to the cell wall and listened to the vibrations in the metal. As an engineer, she could read the signs. Something's wrong with their power grid, she whispered to the others through the small opening under her door. Ben Carter, in the next cell, had been watching the guards. They're nervous about something, more activity in the corridors. I think they're preparing for battle. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had been thinking about everything the aliens had told her. During the interrogation, if they're right about our technology, if Hope really does power our ships, then our crew is probably coming for us. And they're probably very determined right now. Amy Torres smiled in her cell. She could almost feel the horizon out there in space, burning with the hope of her friends. Hold on, everyone. Help is coming. Admiral Zexkar received reports that made his situation worse by the minute. His science team had been studying the human ship and found something troubling. Admiral, Technician Prime Velthok reported, the human vessel's power output has doubled in the last hour. Their engines are producing energy levels that should tear their ship apart, but somehow the hull is holding together. How is that possible? We believe their entire ship is designed around this Hope Resonator technology. The hull, the shields, the weapons, everything responds to the crew's emotional state. The more determined they become, the stronger their ship gets. Research Commander Nixara stepped forward with more disturbing news. Sir, we're detecting similar energy spikes from the approaching human fleet. 47 ships, all powered by the same impossible technology. Their combined power output exceeds our entire battle group. Admiral Zexkar made a decision that went against everything he had been taught about warfare. Prepare the human prisoners for immediate execution. We cannot allow this technology to spread. But as he gave the order, alarms began sounding throughout his ship. The horizon was moving. On the bridge of the human ship, Paul Jackson watched the tactical display as they accelerated toward the alien vessel. Their speed was impossible, according to every law of physics he knew, but the numbers on Kate's screen did not lie. We're moving at 3 times our maximum rated speed, Kate reported, and still accelerating. Weapon status, Paul asked. Ryan Brooks, who had taken over tactical systems, checked his displays. All weapons charged and ready, sir. But Paul, our guns are showing the same energy increases as everything else. Our firepower has tripled. Shields, stronger than they've ever been. Sir, it's like our ship is becoming something new. Paul nodded. He could feel it too. The horizon was more than metal and electronics now. It was hope given form. Determination made real. The refusal to abandon friends turned into something that could cross space and face impossible odds. Communication to the alien ship. He ordered Sam Wright open the channel. You're on, sir. Admiral Zexkar, this is First Officer Paul Jackson of the U's Horizon. Release our people immediately or face the consequences. The alien's mechanical voice came back quickly. Human vessel, you are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Paul smiled. Around him, his crew worked with a focus and determination he had never seen before. In the engine room, the Hope Resonator burned like a star throughout the ship. 43 human hearts beat with the same purpose. Admiral, Paul said, you still don't understand what you're dealing with. You're not fighting our ship. You're fighting our hope, and hope doesn't surrender. The horizon streaked through space toward the alien vessel, powered by something the Kefir Empire had never encountered and could never understand. Behind them, 46 other human ships followed, each one burning with the same impossible fire. The battle for the future of hope itself was about to begin. The U's horizon blazed through space like a comet made of pure determination. On the bridge, Paul Jackson watched the alien ship grow larger on the main screen. Behind them, 46 other human vessels followed in formation, each one burning with the same impossible light. Range to target, Paul asked. Kate Phillips checked her instruments. 500 kilometers and closing fast, sir. At this speed, we'll reach them in less than 2 minutes. Any response from the aliens? Sam Wright shook his head. Nothing on any frequency. They're maintaining radio silence. Paul knew why. Admiral Zexkar was probably trying to figure out how to fight an enemy that became stronger when threatened. The Kefir Empire had built their power on breaking their enemies. Will to fight. But humans were different. The more hopeless things looked, the harder they fought. On the alien ship, Admiral Zexkar stood in his command center and watched the approaching human fleet. With something close to disbelief, his tactical displays showed energy readings that made no sense according to Kefir science. Status of our weapons, he asked. Tactical Commander Drogmar checked his systems. All weapon arrays charged and ready, Admiral. But sir, the human ships are generating some kind of interference. Our targeting systems are having difficulty locking onto them. Explain. Their energy signatures are bright. Sir, it's like trying to aim at a star. Our computers cannot get clear readings through all that power. Admiral Zexkar felt the first touch of something he had never experienced in battle. Fear. Not fear of death, which was always possible in war, but fear of the unknown. Fear of fighting an enemy that operated by rules he did not understand. What are the human prisoners? Execution teams are in position, Admiral, awaiting your orders. Zexkar hesitated. He had been a soldier for over 40 years. He had conquered worlds and destroyed fleets, but something about this situation felt different. These humans had turned their emotions into weapons, their hope into power. What if killing their friends only made them stronger? In the detention area of the alien ship, Captain Jake Morrison and his crew could feel the approaching rescue. It was not something they could explain, but the knowledge was as real as the metal walls around them. "They're coming," Lisa Grant whispered through the gap under her cell door. "I can feel the Horizon's engines. They're running hotter than I've ever sensed before." Ben Carter pressed his ear to the wall of his cell. Through the metal, he could hear the alien guards talking in their harsh language. Their voices sounded worried, maybe even afraid. "The Kefir are scared," he reported quietly. "They don't understand what's happening." Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez sat in her cell and thought about everything she had learned. During her interrogation, the aliens had shown her brain scans that proved human emotions could power starships. But they had missed the most important part. Hope was not just individual. It could be shared, passed from person to person, ship to ship. Amy Torres smiled. In the darkness of her cell, she could almost hear her friends singing the old songs that crews shared during long voyages. Songs about home, about never giving up, about standing together no matter what. Those songs were more than entertainment. They were how humans shared their hope across the emptiness of space. The Horizon reached weapons range of the alien ship. Paul Jackson had to make a choice that would determine whether his friends lived or died. Open a channel to the entire Kefir fleet, he ordered. Sam Wright worked his controls. "Channel open, sir." Paul took a deep breath. Round him, his crew worked with perfect coordination. In the engine room, the Hope resonator blazed so brightly that Matt Sullivan had to wear protective glasses to look at it. Throughout the ship, every system operated at levels that should have been impossible. "Admiral Zexkar," Paul said, his voice carrying across space to every alien ship in the fleet. "This is your last chance. Release our people, and we will withdraw, harm them, and learn what human hope can really do." The response came quickly. "Human fleet, you are outgunned 50-1. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Paul looked around the bridge at his crew. They all nodded back at him with the same determination in their eyes. "You still don't understand," Paul said. "We're not just 47 ships. We're 47 crews who refuse to abandon each other. We're the hope of everyone who ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of something better. You can't defeat that with bigger guns." Admiral Zexkar gave the order he thought would end the battle before it began. All ships, open fire, destroy the human fleet. Hundreds of energy beams lanced through space toward the human ships. But something impossible happened. The beams struck shields that blazed with light brighter than stars. The human vessels absorbed the attack and kept coming, their hope resonators turning the crew's determination into protective barriers. That could not be broken. Impossible. Tactical Commander Dropmar shouted. "Direct hits on all targets. No damage detected." Paul Jackson smiled. "Our turn. All ships, target their weapons only. We're here to rescue our people, not start a war." The human fleet fired. As one, 47 ships powered by hope and determination set precisely aimed energy beams that disabled every weapon on every Kefir vessel without harming a single alien life. Admiral Zexkar stared at his tactical display in shock. His entire fleet had been rendered helpless in seconds by an enemy that should not have been able to scratch their hulls. "How?" he whispered. "Admiral." Communications Officer Yultax reported. "The human ship is requesting permission to come aboard and retrieve their personnel." Zexkar felt something crumble inside his mind. Everything he had believed about power and strength was proving false. These humans had defeated his fleet not through superior technology or numbers, but through something he could not even name. "Permission granted," he said quietly. 30 minutes later, Captain Jake Morrison walked back through the connecting tube to his ship. Behind him came Lisa Grant, Ben Carter, Dr. Eleanor Rodriguez, and Amy Torres. They had been rescued not by superior firepower, but by the simple fact that their friends refused to leave them behind. On the bridge of the Horizon, Jake took his place in the captain's chair. Around him, his crew resumed their posts with quiet satisfaction. They had done something impossible, and they all knew it. "Captain," Sam Wright reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Zexkar." "Put it through." The alien's voice came over the speakers, but this time it sounded different. less mechanical, more uncertain. Captain Morrison, I must ask you a question. Your ships are powered by hope, but hope for what? Jake thought about the question for a moment. Around him, the bridge of the horizon hummed with energy that came from 43 human hearts beating with the same purpose, hope for a better tomorrow. Jake said finally, hope that our children will see things we can only dream of. Hope, that's somewhere in this vast universe. There are others who believe in working together instead of tearing each other down. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Zexkar spoke again, and his voice carried something Jake had never heard from a Kefir before. Wonder. Captain, my science team tells me that your Hope Resonator technology could revolutionize space travel for every species in the galaxy, but they also tell me that it only works for beings who can feel hope. The Kefir Empire has spent centuries teaching our people that hope is weakness. Jake understood what the alien was really asking. Admiral, hope is not weakness. Hope is what makes us try when trying seems pointless. Hope is what makes us help each other when we could just help ourselves. Hope is what makes us believe that tomorrow can be better than today. Another long pause. Captain Morrison, I would like to request a meeting between your government and ours. Not as conquerors and conquered, but as the species who might learn from each other. Jake smiled. I think that could be arranged, Admiral. As the human fleet prepared to return home, Jake made a final log entry. Today we learned something important about ourselves and our technology. The Hope Resonators that power our ships are not just machines. They are mirrors that reflect what makes us human. Our refusal to give up, our determination to help each other, our belief that the universe could be a better place if we work together to make it so. He paused, looking out at the stars that no longer seemed quite so cold and empty. The Kefir thought they had discovered a new weapon. What they actually discovered was the human soul, and maybe, just maybe, they discovered a little bit of their own. Throughout the galaxy, other species would soon learn about the day humans turned hope into starfire. Some would try to copy the technology and fail, because hope cannot be manufactured or stolen. It can only be shared, nurtured, and passed from one heart to another. And in the years that followed, as humans and Kefir worked together to explore the galaxy, they would discover that hope was indeed the most powerful force in the universe. Not hope for conquest or domination, but hope for understanding, cooperation, and a future where all beings could reach for the stars together. The war that almost began that day became instead the foundation for the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever seen, an alliance powered not by fear or force, but by the simple human conviction that tomorrow could always be better than today, if only they refused to stop hoping.